What if I told you that the reason your dreams aren't materializing isn't because you lack effort, but because you have too much of it? That every time you force things, every time you push harder, every time you turn your desires into a battle, you're actually pushing away the very results you're desperately seeking. Most people live under an invisible lie that keeps them trapped. It's the belief that everything worthwhile must cost blood, sweat, and tears. From this unconscious programming, they transform every dream into an epic struggle against the world, against circumstances, against themselves. But here's what nobody's told you. There's a phrase so simple it almost seems ridiculous, yet it has the power to completely rewire your nervous system, open pathways where you only saw walls before, and make opportunities appear with a lightness that defies everything you thought you knew about how life works. That phrase is, "Everything comes to me with ease." No, this isn't magical thinking. This isn't self-deception. This is applied neuroscience. This is quantum physics in action. This is recognizing that your internal state has a direct, measurable impact on what you experience externally. If these perspectives resonate with you, if you sense there's something beyond the obvious, subscribe to this channel. Here, we explore how science and spirituality converge to create real, profound, and lasting transformations. The invisible error you make every day. The invisible mistake you make every single day is believing that resistance is the path, that if it doesn't hurt, it doesn't count, that if you're not fighting, you don't deserve it. And from that belief, you generate exactly what you fear: more obstacles, more complications, more reasons to confirm that life is hard. But first, you need to understand why your current way of pursuing what you want is sabotaging your own results. The premise is radical and extraordinarily simple at the same time. It's not that life is difficult. It's that you're making it difficult. And you're doing it from such an unconscious place that you don't even realize it. Every time you wake up in the morning with that feeling that everything is a mountain to climb, every time you plan your day like it's a war to win, every time you approach your goals with the energy of, "This is going to be hard," you're programming your nervous system to create exactly that: resistance, complications, obstacles. Your brain, which is a perfect survival machine, interprets that tension as danger. And when it perceives danger, it activates protection mechanisms that make you see threats where there could be opportunities, problems where there could be solutions, friction where there could be flow. The new perspective. Here's the paradigm shift. Ease is not the prize that comes after the struggle. Ease is the state from which effort becomes effective. It's the energetic quality that allows your actions to have real impact, your words to generate connection, your intentions to materialize with a speed that previously seemed impossible. When you say, "Everything comes to me with ease," from a place of true presence, you're not asking life to be easy. You're declaring that you are someone who can move through life with lightness, who can receive what they need without turning it into an epic battle. This is the key that unlocks everything. Understanding that your internal state isn't a consequence of what happens to you, but the cause of what happens to you. And when you change the state, you change the experience. How this actually works. The science. To understand how this works, imagine your mind is like a radio antenna. An antenna doesn't create the waves in the air, but it does determine which frequency it captures. If you're tuned to a frequency of stress, struggle, and everything costs, you'll receive exactly that. Situations that confirm that frequency. But when you change your internal tuning to "everything comes to me with ease," something fascinating happens at a neurological level. Your reticular activating system, that part of the brain that acts as a reality filter, begins searching for evidence of this new frequency. Where you used to see obstacles, you now start noticing pathways. Where you used to perceive complications, you now detect simplicity. Neuroplasticity teaches us that the brain is constantly reorganizing itself based on the thought patterns we repeat. Every time you affirm, "Everything comes to me with ease," from a place of emotional presence, you're not just changing your internal dialogue, you're literally creating new neural connections that support that reality. But there's something even deeper happening at an energetic level. When you pronounce this phrase with coherence, when your heart and mind vibrate in sync, You generate what science calls cardiac coherence. Your electromagnetic field expands, becomes more ordered, more potent. And from quantum physics, we know that the consciousness of the observer influences what is observed. Your state of internal coherence begins to attract experiences that match that vibration. Think of it this way. When a frequency is clear and constant enough, it begins to influence everything around it. It's like when someone walks into a room with such serene energy that without saying anything, they change the atmosphere. Your internal state works the same way. When you're aligned with ease, you emit a vibration that impacts your environment, and this generates resonance. People, situations, and opportunities that share that frequency start appearing in your life naturally. This isn't magic, it's physics applied to human experience. The key distinction. The key is understanding that this phrase isn't a denial of reality. You're not saying challenges don't exist. You're changing your relationship with challenges. You're training your nervous system to look for the path of least resistance, which curiously tends to also be the most effective path. It's like the difference between swimming against the current and learning to use the current in your favor. Both options require movement, but one exhausts you and the other takes you further with less effort. When you truly internalize this new frequency, when it becomes your natural state and not something you have to force, your external reality begins to reflect that new internal programming. And then you understand that ease wasn't a goal to achieve, but a state to choose. The paradox. What you think helps actually hurts. Here's where it gets paradoxical. Many of the things you do believing they bring you closer to your goals are actually pushing them away. And the cruelest part is that these actions feel right because they align with the cultural programming we've inherited. The obsessive planning trap. When you obsess over planning every detail of how what you want will arrive, when you try to control every variable, every possibility, every outcome, you believe you're being responsible. But in reality, you're sending a very clear energetic message. I don't trust this can happen naturally. And that distrust becomes resistance that blocks the flow. The activity addiction. When you overload yourself with activity believing that more action equals more results, you wake up each day with an endless to-do list, running from one place to another, feeling virtuous for always being busy. But hyperactivity is born from panic, not confidence, and from panic, no matter how much you move, you're moving in circles. The easy opportunity rejection. There's that tendency to reject opportunities that arrive too easily. When something presents itself without complications, without drama, without heroic effort, you distrust it. You think, if it came this easy, there must be a catch. And so you literally push away what you asked for because it didn't arrive wrapped in suffering. The sacrifice mentality. Another sabotaging behavior is the need to prove you deserve what you want through sacrifice, as if the universe were a stern judge that only rewards those who've paid enough emotional toll. So unconsciously, you create obstacles where there are none. Dramatize simple situations, turn easy decisions into complex dilemmas. The waiting for the other shoe to drop. The most subtle of all, when you receive something good, you immediately look for the price you'll have to pay for it. Instead of simply receiving with gratitude, your mind starts calculating when the punishment will come, when the good streak will end. And that expectation of future difficulty contaminates the present experience and eventually fulfills itself. If you recognize yourself in these patterns, take a deep breath. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not lazy. You're not naive. You're not daydreaming. What you have is a strategy misaligned with your deepest nature. The real problem. You were conditioned, like all of us, to believe that value is earned. Through pain, that reward is proportional to suffering, that if something matters, it must cost dearly. And from that programming, you've been fighting against your own internal current, swimming against the tide of your own capacity to receive. The frustration you feel when things don't flow, when every step seems like a mountain, when you feel like the world is conspiring against you, that's not a sign you don't have what it takes. It's a sign you're operating from a paradigm that doesn't belong to you. Your soul knows there's another way. That's why it hurts so much when life feels rough, when everything seems to require an epic struggle. That discomfort isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's your internal system telling you, this isn't natural, this isn't sustainable, this isn't what I came to experience. There is a more loving, more fluid way, more aligned with who you really are. A way where your actions are born from inspiration, not panic. Where your decisions emerge from clarity, not desperation. Where your results arrive with a lightness that allows you to actually enjoy them. You're not asking for too much when you want life to be easier. You're remembering how it's supposed to be. And that remembrance is the first step toward real transformation. The questions that change. Everything before we continue, I want you to ask yourself an honest question. In what areas of your life are you creating unnecessary difficulty? Where are you turning something simple into something complicated simply because you believe that's how it should be? Think about it for a moment. How many times have you rejected help because you felt you had to do it alone? How many times have you chosen the harder path because the easy one seemed like a trap? How many times have you sabotaged something good coming into your life because it didn't arrive with the suffering you expected? And now, the most important question. How would your life change if you truly believed that everything can come to you with ease? Not as a fantasy, but as a real possibility. What would you decide differently? What would you let go of? What would you allow yourself to receive? Let it settle. You don't need immediate answers. Just allow yourself to feel what moves inside you when you consider that maybe, just maybe, life doesn't have to be as difficult as you've been making it. This question is the portal, and on the other side is waiting a version of you who knows how to move through the world with a lightness you haven't fully experienced yet. The practical part. Daily actions now for the practical part. Because real transformation doesn't happen just with understanding, but with daily actions that sustain that new internal frequency. First, morning declaration. Every morning, before checking your phone, before planning your day, before entering automatic routine, take 3 minutes to connect with your body. Breathe deeply and declare, "Everything comes to me with ease." But don't say it as an empty affirmation. Feel it. Imagine how it feels in your body when things flow. Anchor that sensation in your nervous system. Second, the pause practice. Throughout the day, every time you notice you're forcing, pushing, turning something simple into something complicated, pause. Ask yourself, how would I approach this with ease? And then act from that new perspective. It's not about doing nothing, but about doing from a different place. Third, conscious receiving practice, receiving consciously. When someone offers you help, accept it. When an opportunity arrives without drama, take it. When something resolves easier than you expected, celebrate instead of looking for the trap. You're training your nervous system to be comfortable with ease. Fourth, evening recognition. At the end of the day, before sleeping, acknowledge 3 things that came to you with ease that day. It can be something as simple as finding parking easily, someone resolving something with one call, or an answer coming to you without effort. You're teaching your mind to notice the ease that already exists. These actions, done with consistency, reorganize your internal frequency. They create new neural circuits that support ease instead of resistance. They change your energetic field to attract more fluid experiences. The structure for deep transformation. But here's where many people get stuck halfway. They start with enthusiasm, see some changes, but don't have a structure to sustain them in the deeper transformation process. They need something more than isolated techniques. They need a complete method that takes them from understanding to real integration. This is why having a structured path matters. You need something that takes you step by step from deep self-knowledge to complete redefinition of your identity and the creation of habits that sustain this new version of you. Not just information, but systematized transformation. The reality check. Now, let's be realistic. Not every day will be easy maintaining this frequency. There will be moments when you find yourself falling into old patterns, forcing, pushing, complicating the simple. And when that happens, it doesn't mean you failed. It means you're human. Real transformation isn't a switch you flip once and you're done. It's a muscle you strengthen with daily practice. There will be days when that muscle feels weak, when the old programming screams louder than the new one. That's completely normal and expected. What makes the difference isn't never falling. It's the speed with which you realize you've fallen and the gentleness with which you return to your center. Each time you recognize you've returned to struggle and choose to return to ease, you're strengthening your new identity. Think of this like learning to walk. At first, you fall a lot, but each fall teaches you something about balance. After a while, walking becomes automatic. The same happens with this new way of being. At first, it will require constant awareness, but eventually it becomes your natural way of moving through the world. Be patient with yourself. Be compassionate with your process, and remember that every time you choose ease over struggle, you're voting for the person you're becoming. Your first conscious choice. I want to invite you to do something simple but powerful. When you finish watching this video, before moving to the next one, before returning to your routine, I want you to stand up, breathe deeply, and declare out loud, "Everything comes to me with ease." Say it as if it were already true. Say it as if your life were already a demonstration of that reality. It may seem small, but that act is a portal. It's the moment you transition from being someone who understands the concept to being someone who's starting to live it. It's your first conscious decision to change frequency. It's not about blind belief. It's about giving your nervous system a new direction. It's about planting a seed of possibility in fertile ground. It's about choosing, perhaps for the first time, to be someone willing to receive life with open arms instead of closed fists. Do it now. Stand up, breathe, declare, and feel how something subtle but profound shifts inside you. That moment is your new starting point. Your new identity. From this moment forward, you're no longer the same person who started watching this video. You're someone who has consciously chosen to live from ease instead of struggle. You're someone willing to receive life with lightness. You're someone who trusts the path can be simpler than you always believed. This new identity needs to be fed, remembered, strengthened every day. It's not something you achieve once and you're done. It's something you choose to be again and again until it becomes your nature. The path you've just begun doesn't end here. Every day you'll have new opportunities to choose ease over resistance, trust over control, receptivity over struggle. And each time you make that choice, you become a little more of who you really came to be. Closing your transformation has just begun. The universe isn't asking you to prove your worth through suffering. It's inviting you to remember that you were designed for flow, for ease, for joy. The struggle was never the path. It was just the detour you took because that's what you were taught. Now you know better. Now you have the tools. Now you have the awareness. What you do with it from this moment forward is entirely up to you. Will you return to the old patterns of force and struggle? Or will you choose, again and again, to align with the natural flow of ease? The choice is yours. And that choice will shape everything that comes next. If this path resonates with you, if you feel these perspectives have something important to offer, subscribe to this channel. Here, we'll continue exploring together how to create a life that flows from authenticity, consciousness, and ease. Everything comes to you with ease. Not because you're special, but because that's how life was always meant to work. Welcome to your new reality.